Welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. And boy, oh boy, we know that statistics on failure rates for women-owned businesses would give would-be women entrepreneurs quite a bit of pause. Some 20% of startups fail in their first year and nearly 50% by their fifth year. That's a lot, and I am thrilled to bring on Theresa Slater, who's the president of Empire Interpreting Service, which she founded in 2003, safely well past that 5-year mark. She built her company into a respected, award-winning organization with more than 300 interpreters and an array of customer-centric services. She is a speaker, author, and advisor to new entrepreneurs, and she has written a new book, The Language of Success, An Interpreter's Entrepreneurial Journey. Theresa, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Absolutely. And you have an amazing story, Theresa. You went from as I understand, a destitute teenager to the owner of a very successful business. It's incredible. Tell us a little bit of the behind the scenes over there and what you believe is the key to your own success.
Well, I left home at 15, which was not the norm, of course. And I think that having to survive on my own and learning how to go from minimum wage job to minimum wage job and then later find avenues into education and opportunities for just self-growth and survival more than anything, a lot of street smarts, a lot of learning on the job, and just a lot of self-improvement. I think that when you leave home like that, you never feel that you're quite as good as the next guy. And so there's always something that you have to prove. And I think that was a driving force for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's inspirational. And I appreciate your vulnerability and sharing your own story. So one thing that I mentioned in the show intro, and ironically, I was just talking with some folks earlier today, is I use the term imposter syndrome. There are a lot of women, Theresa, I know that you have shared in your book, that experience imposter syndrome, some self-doubt of why am I different? How can I succeed? How would you say that they can overcome some of those challenges?
I think imposter syndrome is something that you have to stop apologizing for. It's, I went to college, but I didn't go to college the traditional way. So does that mean I'm not successful? I built my business, but I didn't build it with a Wharton MBA. So does that mean my success isn't legitimate? And those are things that you have to stop comparing yourself to others. You have to look at the statistics, which you talked about in the beginning, and see what you've overcome, celebrate those successes. And most importantly, honestly, stop caring what other people think of you, because they're most of the time, 99% of the time, they're impressed with where you are. They're not really worried how you got there. We kind of carry that with us, but that's not what people around us are really looking at.
Absolutely. And so going back to business over here, what are some ways that you bootstrapped your business to attract clients?
Well, I didn't know what an advertising budget was when I started my business, and I didn't really have one. So I took to the internet, and I knew that I needed a website. You have to remember this was in 2003, so it wasn't like everyone was putting up their own website at the time. So I did some bartering to get a woman to build my website. I was invited by a local Lions club to come and speak about what is interpreting and how they could better help the community at large, and specifically the deaf community. So I went and spoke at that and got a couple of jobs from that and realized that this might be a way to bootstrap my marketing. And I started speaking everywhere, at the police department, at the local hospital, at the schools, at the Rotary Club. Anytime anybody would have me, I was up there talking about my business. That was one way that I bootstrapped. And there are a lot of other ways over the years, but I think just putting yourself out there constantly and getting in front of people and then honing it in on who's your target market. Eventually, when I knew who my target market was, education and medical, that's when I started kind of veering into those environments and getting in front of people there.
Yeah, and Theresa, there's something that every entrepreneur goes through of starting initially to do things yourself, doing every single step yourself, and finally pulling away, becoming the strategic thinker. I mentioned about your business. My understanding is that you've got more than 300 interpreters. That's quite a few employees and contractors, I'm sure, that are working with you. How did that transition take place?
It was tough in the beginning because I think that a lot of entrepreneurs are perfectionists and they want to do everything and they think that no one can do it as good as they can. But I realized from the right out the gate that I had to have employees or I could never grow my business. So the first big step was learning, it was making the decision, am I an interpreter or am I a business owner? So about 8 months in, I stopped interpreting altogether. I just focused on growing the business. And every staff that I hired on, every interpreter that I hired on was a little bit of a step away for me. Not that I'm still not involved in the day-to-day, but you have to step back and look at it. And kind of that imposter syndrome plays into this because you are questioning all the time, am I really a boss? Am I really a business owner? Am I really good enough to do this? So all of those things kind of played into it for myself and my own journey.
Absolutely. I'm chatting with Theresa Slater, the president of Empire Interpreting Service and the author of The Language of Success, an Interpreter's Entrepreneurial Journey. We're going to continue our conversation with Theresa when we return on Get Down to Business in just a moment. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Get Down to Business, continuing my conversation with the author of The Language of Success, an Interpreter's Entrepreneurial Journey. Just came out a little over a month ago. It's both an autobiography of our guest, Theresa Slater, and a how-to or how not to guide for entrepreneurs. Theresa, really appreciate you sharing your story and your journey as well. So, Theresa, where can women entrepreneurs find supporters who can serve as unofficial advisors?
I think that there are a lot of entrepreneurial groups out there. I think if it's women in particular, there are groups such as the WPO, the Women's Presidents Organization. That wasn't the first group that I went to. I went to a local group of startups. And then there came a time when I kind of outgrew that group and I needed to find a different group, a group that had criteria in order to join. So this particular group, you had to have at least $2 million in sales a year. And there were some other criteria, but the women that were there were women that had been in business a long time, that were very successful, that kind of held my feet to the fire when it came to growing my business, and also an informal advisory board. And those are things you can find like through the WPO. You can find organizations through your local SBA is another great place, or just by Googling your city and look for women entrepreneurial groups.
Yeah. And Theresa, who are the experts that you rely on to shore up your business?
The experts that my go-to people are not really people in that group at this point. I go talk about my 4 posters that I shore up my business are my CPA, my banker, my attorney, and my insurance broker. And those sound strange in one sense, but these are the people that you really need. And especially in today's society, someone asked me the other day, why an insurance broker? And I said, you find out that you need everything from workman's comp today to cybersecurity. And these are the people that you need to be in contact with at least 3 or 4 times a year to be going over your business and helping your business be safe and helping your business grow.
And we're coming to the end of our time together, but Theresa, one more bit of, tips or advice that I know you talk about in your book as well, but how can entrepreneurs, male or female, find time for and commit to self-care?
I think you have to. If you don't commit to self-care, you're going to commit to getting better from an illness. And I think that you have to make your day longer, whether that's tacking it on the morning or whether that's tacking it on in the evening. Or for me, I do a lot of working out and self-care on the weekends.
Absolutely. That's great advice. And there's something that's relevant there for all of you listeners out there. But I know that's not the end of Theresa Slater's advice. I know you've got a lot more in your book, The Language of Success, An Interpreter's Entrepreneurial Journey. Theresa, how can we get in touch with you and find the book?
Best place is to go to my website, which is empireinterpreting.com. My contact information is there and the book's on the homepage.
I really appreciate you sharing with our listeners. And that's a wrap for us this week on Get Down to Business. A fantastic lineup indeed of some amazing entrepreneurs, authors, people making a difference and doing just absolutely incredible thing. I always walk away each and every week just inspired and amazed. And all of our guests will be linked in our show notes as well. We've been on the air for over 11 years, and that means we've got a lot of great content and a lot of great people to inspire you. So don't keep it a secret. Share it with a colleague, a friend, a neighbor, a family member. Just search for Get Down to Business on your favorite podcast app. But do me a favor, my friends, subscribe, rate, review, and share. It will help others find the program as well. And I love to hear from our listeners. You can get in touch with me on my website, syklein.com. Just hit that contact button. I'd love to know what you think. And once again, our sponsors, Laura Catchbone-Derace from Coldwell Banker Stratford Place, and Tom Mirabali for all of your health insurance and Affordable Care Act needs. Their information is on the website as well. But that's a wrap for us this week. To success, let's get down to business.